Welcome to Sauk Valley Media's Pigskin Primer for the semifinal round of the high school football playoffs. I'm sports editor Dan Woessner alongside assistant sports editor Christopher Heimerman. And we're going to talk about the one game we have left in the Sauk Valley this week. That's the Newman Comets versus the Aurora Christian Eagles. I want to call them the Chargers for some reason, and that's not the correct name. But before we go there, we can look back at the quarterfinal round. Chris, you were at the Harbor in Amboy and got to see a classic matchup between Mercer County and the Clippers.
Yeah, absolutely. To say that the score didn't necessarily tell the story of the game would be a gross understatement. 33-21 was the final, going the way of Mercer County. But that fourth quarter was absolutely fun. I mean, if you're a football fan, I mean, you got the worth of the price of admission and much more in that game. Amboy takes a 21-20 lead. The crowd's going nuts as they pull off a couple of I don't know if extraordinary is maybe a stretch, but you know us in hyperbole in the sports department. A pass from Tyson Powers to Jordan Ernst in the back of the end zone as Powers rolled out of the pocket on 3rd and goal from the 5 after they were in 1st and goal from the 1. So you could sense that if they didn't get in, Mercer County was going to have that momentum to burn at that point. But they do get in. They pull the trick play on the fake extra point. Direct snap to Powers hits a little off pass to Damon Quest, and they go up by a point. But the Mercer County passing attack, Tanner Matlick, big, strong arm. I mean, I walked up to the kid afterward and I interviewed him, and he's still got that high school face. So you know that he's an 18-year-old kid, but I mean, that's a grown man's body.
Guys had an absolute counter punch ready for him.
You know, us seniors, it's our last year, and we didn't want to go out like that. We just told each other we weren't going to quit on each other, and we needed to play a good, hard 4 quarters, and that's what we did. And we played Mercer County Golden Eagle football, and it turned out good.
You knew that they could only hold him down for so long. He engineered the go-ahead drive, and then with all sorts of time left, 4.5 minutes, Amboy with the ball, a chance to have kind of a vintage Amboy drive, just hammer away first down after first down, maybe pop a little intermediate pass somewhere in there. They could have had a walk-off drive, so to speak, to use a baseball term, but wasn't in the cards. On 3rd and 7, a pick thrown by Powers basically ended the game, especially since it went back the other way for a touchdown. But congratulations to the Amboy Clippers on a phenomenal season. And as I said in my column after the fact, I'm pretty convinced that they lost to, going back to your bold prediction last week, I think that they did, in fact, lose to what's going to end up being the Class 2A state title winner next weekend in Champaign. But, again, congratulations to the Clippers, and thanks very much to both teams for what was really an extraordinary game. We've watched so many of these throughout the course of the season that we really get our just desserts when it comes to this point in the playoffs, because every team's going to bring it.
Coincidentally, I think that game almost sets the template for what we might see Saturday with Newman and Aurora Christian, because it's very much the same thing. You have the ground and pound Newman Comets versus the Aurora Christian against Aurora Christian, who likes to throw the ball. Mm-hmm. So I think you're going to see a very similar style of game where you get the clashing of styles, and it just depends if the Comets can make the plays at the end that maybe the Clippers weren't able to, and pull off what I think a lot of people think would probably be an upset. Aurora Christian, much like Mercer County, came in as the favorites to win a 3A. I mean, their only loss during the regular season was to Montini, which is a 5A school. Montini's in the semifinals in 5A, and that was by 4 points. So Aurora Christian can play with the big boys. The Comets are kind of trying to prove that they can also. This is the first time for them in the 3A semifinals. They've been in semifinals in 2A and 1A, but this is the first trip to the 3A. They made it here by beating Wilmington by taking advantage of the other team's mistakes. I mean, They used that kind of end-around reverse with Mason Bittner to score a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Then they scored on a recovered fumble by, I think it was Tanner Schaaf did that against Wilmington. And that's what you have to do at this point in the playoffs. If the other team makes a mistake, take advantage of it, turn it into 6 points.
Yeah, the score by Tanner Cole. Last night I caught up with Mason Bittner. Check it out tomorrow in Friday's section. I'm going to be working up a feature story on Mason. He pointed out something that sometimes we forget about. These are high school kids, and I guess Tanner Cole had a very imaginative celebration where he basically just ran around and threw the end zone until he collapsed. And I know Newman got a kick out of that. And now that's a big thing. And Mason's big brothers, who played on the line for Newman in a couple of other state title campaigns. He pointed out that the best advice his brothers have given him is to go into it like it's another game and cherish the fact that if you go out there and win, you're going to have a chance to play one more and keep making more memories. These guys are having the time of their lives. If they go in with the intention of having some fun on Saturday, while sticking to the game plan, I think it's going to be a whale of a ball game.
I liken it to a few years ago in 3A. was a quarterfinal matchup where Stillman Valley was really heavily favored, and Newman came in and it ended up coming down to a 2-point conversion at the very end, and Newman lost that game. You know, the Comets, I can't. I'd be hard pressed to find a time when the Comets have really been blown out in a game in my 7 years here. So I don't think that's going to happen. If they keep it close, if they can limit the number of times Aurora Christian gets the ball, and just grind out the ball. I kind of made the joke the other day. It's like, it might be the best thing for them to do is to fall down after 4 yards and then just start again and go 4 yards and just wear out the clock. Because Aurora Christian is going to put up points. Even with a good Newman defense, you just can't hold them down. I mean, Amboy saw that last week. Eventually, a passing team like that's just going to break a big one, and a lead can disappear really fast.
Well, you look at their low water mark in terms of points scored this season, Aurora Christian. 27 points against that Montini club that you were talking about. You know, Montini's got a great 5A defense. So, just speaking to your points, limiting possessions, the magic number for me is 28. There's 48 minutes in a high school football game. If Newman can possess the ball for 28 minutes in this game, I think they have a good shot. And I think that's my over-under that's going to dictate the outcome of the game. More than 28 minutes, I like the Comets. Less than 28 minutes, I think Aurora Christian is going to find a way to put the ball in the end zone at least one more time than Newman.
The one thing I will say is I'm not so sure Aurora Christian can stop Newman either. I think Newman's size, their ability just to move the ball, and their linemen, and their ability to just interchange linemen in and out throughout the game so they stay fresh. That's something not a lot of teams have that luxury, not even 5A schools. You know, Sterling didn't really even have that luxury at 5A this year of being able to interchange players along that front line, and Newman can do that.
Well, you kind of look back to the beginning of the season, maybe a blessing in disguise that they had those injuries, that they had to plug those guys in there.
Yeah. Well, we made our predictions, and they already kind of ran in the paper, so people know who we're picking. We all went with Aurora Christian. What's your bold prediction in terms of score?
It's a very vanilla score, because both of these teams have pretty good kickers. Just from looking at Aurora Christian scores, I couldn't see a scenario where it was like, okay, well, they must have missed an extra point here or there. It's a very vanilla score. I'm taking Aurora Christian 35-28. Like I said, not exactly an adventurous prediction, but I think that they're just going to put the ball in the end zone one more time than Newman will, unless Newman can ground and pound and have a couple of those 15-play, 8-minute drives that we've seen so many from them throughout the course of the season, and you guys have seen over the years.
Yeah, and I was thinking 35 in my head right when you were talking. I think Aurora Christian gets to 35. I think Newman gets to like 32.
Yeah.
And you might have, a 2-point conversion here or there at the end where, people are trying to set up, if they need a field goal or if they need a touchdown. So I go 35-32 Aurora Christian, but it's going to be a good game.
I hope you're right.
And then we'll see if we'll be heading to Champaign next Friday to the state finals. If Newman can turn it around, it'd be the 4th year in a row that we've had a team from the Sauk Valley go to Champaign. Of course, it'd be the 4th year in a row the Big Rivers have had a team from Champaign.
Yep.
Of course, Morrison went twice, and Newman went in between there, and they all three won 2A state titles. So it'll be exciting, that's for sure. Make sure you check out highlights of the game. They will be posted by Saturday night. Our ace producer, Angel Sierra, has been getting up early, so check those out. Interviews, highlights, everything you want to see from Saturday's game, and we'll see you out there.
See you at the football game.